Why? Why would you do
this to yourself?
So many reasons, but none of which feel right.
America.
Welcome back to Gaiwan's on Fleek. We're going to be talking about the Gaiwan, what it is, how to use it, stuff like that. So I'm going to toss it over to Jason.
Yep, so the Gaiwan came from China. It usually comes in three pieces. You have your lid, your bowl, brewing vessel, and then a dish as well. And it's part of the Gong Fu Cha tea ceremony. And what the Gong Fu Cha entails is brewing with skill. So essentially, you want to figure out what is the best temperature, time, and also amount of tea you brew with. Aaron's going to give you a bit more detail on that.
Yeah, so there are lots of different size Gaiwans, right? This is a bit of a bigger one. It holds about 220 milliliters.
That thing's huge.
It's pretty big. You'll see why that matters in a moment. But and you've got some smaller ones as well. Although this is kind of like a medium-sized one. I've seen much smaller ones. But you use a lot more leaf to water generally in a Gaiwan when you brew. And you get less tea than if you were going to brew in like an 8, 10, or 12 ounce teapot. The cool thing about brewing in a Gaiwan is that you are exposing the whole leaf to the water as opposed to having it in a filter basket. So you have more surface area to brew off of. So some people think that it's the best way. We'll leave that up to you, but we're going to show you some of the ways that we brew with a Gaiwan.
So right now I've got the temperature at around 200. For me personally, I like to swirl the water around the tea leaves, so I'm burning them evenly and then end up in a center here. Of course, cap it to maintain the heat and temperature. And there's something a little bit different about my Gaiwan is that the cap is oval shaped, so it always makes a little slit of where you could pour the tea out at a certain angle, right? So since I put a little bit more leaf on there, I'm probably going to do a shorter steep for this one. Of course, we use the cap to kind of swirl the tea leaves around just to make sure everything is properly, submerged within the water as well. And then you want to pour with confidence here so you don't spill as much. And there we go.
That's it can be quite painful if you do bait and burn yourself, but you get used to it and you get better as you do it. You don't have to use, as you'll see, Jason used a filter here. You don't have to use a filter, but it does help kind of get some of the particles off your tea before you drink it. But that was beautiful.
Yeah, thank you
so much.
It's just personal preference, like Aaron said. Filter. I've seen people use Gaiwans without filters. Also, I've seen people, for example, have different tricks. Like they leave the cap off so that the tea isn't oxidizing within the Gaiwan. I like to use a spoon, or not this spoon, but some sort of tool to kind of mix the tea leaves as I'm done steeping, so that the bottom ones don't get over steep compared to the top ones, just to give it like an even steep.
Yeah. So unlike Jason's Gaiwan, my Gaiwan is even. So I have no openings once I put the top on. So I'm going to show you how that affects the brew a little bit, or affects the pour.
But you've mastered it.
Wow. I burned myself a lot, but you get used to it. It becomes part of the process. So just like Jason does, I kind of move around my leaf in the water to make sure that it kind of gets around the whole leaf and you're able to have it diffuse more evenly. And I do like to use a little filter when I Gaiwan. So I just move the cap back a little bit more. You have to be careful not to move the cap back too far, or all of the leaf is going to pour out at once and it just becomes super messy. I'll also show you this kind of close up. So there's a couple different ways to grip a Gaiwan, and you'll see it done quite a few different ways. So some people will put their finger into the cap and then hold it on the sides. My Gaiwan is so big that it's really hard to do that for me, just because my hands are kind of small compared to it. So I just put my first knuckle into the cap, slide it back a little bit, and then go to town. It actually came out pretty well. Sometimes the stream will split and it'll kind of get everywhere, but as you get better pouring, you won't have so many problems.
I would say pick a Gaiwan depending on your audience, whether if it's yourself or you plan to drink tea with more than two people. So there's Gaiwans that Aaron mentioned earlier that varies within size, within the water amount that it can hold. So for me, I've chosen a Gaiwan that's around 150 milliliters. Usually it's good for a party of 4 to 5. I usually like to bring guests along when I drink tea. So yeah, I chose a little larger one.
Yeah. The other thing I might mention is all the kinds of different materials that you can find Gaiwans in. I've seen some really nice glass ones. These are ceramic.
Yeah.
There's porcelain. There's also deviations from this standard type of Gaiwan. So I have another thing here called a shiborashi, which is a kind of a Japanese take. I don't know if it came before or after, and I won't comment. But it has kind of the same structure. You've got the bowl and the lid. The kind of cool thing on shiboradashis is you can kind of just have it down without exposing any of the leaf to pour it out, and then it'll come through on the slits. But they're generally pretty small inside, and the bowls are more shallow. Then you'll have a Gaiwan, which can hold a lot more liquid. So if you have any questions on Gaiwans, we'd love to hear about it. Just put it in the comments below and we'll get back to you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.